First, I'd like to start off with an acknowledgement of country. We acknowledge the traditional land on which our site is held and pay our respects to elders past and present, thanking Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders for their continued connection to land, waters and community, acknowledging the important role they play within our communities. So to kick off tonight, I thought we would actually start with our why. At EI, we begin every meeting with a reminder of our mission and our purpose, and it's a reflection of what we strive to achieve every single day. We are deeply passionate about our work, and we were involved in the trial phase of the NDIS. It was very apparent 2 to 3 years into the NDIS that expectations for people living with a disability were incredibly low. This realisation fueled our determination to raise the bar. By gathering evidence from around the world, we explored what was possible in capacity building and therapeutic supports, leading to the creation of the everyday way that you see on the screen here. So our mission is simple. It is to set the bar high to make inclusion a reality for all Australians as we lead in this endeavour. The NDIS is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, positioning us not only as national leaders, but as global pioneers to transform opportunities for people living with a disability. So to set the scene this evening, I would love to play a short clip from Sienna, who is one of our graduate speech pathologists.
I think what really attracted me to working at Everyday Independence was that they work in the social model. I was really passionate about wanting to work with people and their families on really functional outcomes. And when I heard that that's what Everyday Independence was all about, I knew that they were probably the right people for me. It definitely can be scary and daunting when you first finish university and just wondering, what are the expectations going to be like? What are the families going to be like? What if I don't know everything as well was something that I was really worried about, but I had no need to be worried at all. I was really supported, and as I said, having mentors that you can go out with and actually see how things are done, or on the other side, the mentor can come out with you as well and give you that feedback in real time as well. Everyday Independence has allowed me to think about what I want from my career as a speech pathologist. It's really allowed me to think about the growth that I may be able to have with Everyday Independence and open up opportunities that I don't really think I knew were possible before working here. So pretty much from day one, people are speaking to you about where do you see yourself professionally and how can we support you to get there. And that's amazing to work for somebody who really values that.
So like Sienna said, we really want tonight to be an opportunity to share with you insights about who we are, what we do, what you'd learn as a new graduate, our supervision and support structures. And I don't want you just to take my word for it, but I want you to hear from two of our wonderful new graduates later on in the presentation during a Q&A, so you can hear firsthand what their experiences have been. I'd love to introduce myself to you as well. My name's Danielle Jones and I'm thrilled to be your host this evening. I'm an occupational therapist and area lead within the regional Victoria and Tasmania area. So my journey at Everyday Independence began during my 4th year of OT studies when I volunteered for one of our social skills groups. And from that point, I knew straight away that I wanted to join this organisation as a new graduate. Whilst that might have been 8 years ago, I've been very privileged to work as a key worker with teens, adults, and a range of people living with a disability. Now, the photo that I have on here is actually me on my very first day. You can see there's a big smile on my face. I can't wait to get out the door. Deep down, though, what you don't see is the huge amount of nerves that I was feeling transitioning from student to practitioner. And that experience is something that I'm really passionate about supporting people on their journey from. We know that it can be really challenging. However, entering this industry and working for an organisation like Everyday Independence is going to support you, give you opportunities, and lead to a very rewarding and fulfilling career. So let's tell you a little bit more about us as an organisation. First of all, our promise. At the core of all of our efforts, our commitment is to empower individuals, ensuring that everyone is actively engaged in their communities. Our vision is a future where everyone, regardless of their background or their abilities, has a chance to participate in society. And our purpose, its inclusion is more than a goal for us. It's action. We work to break down those barriers that hinder community involvement, and with our purpose driving us to create a lasting change, not just for tomorrow or a week from now, but for years from now. What encompasses all of this are our values. They operate every single day with every single member here at Everyday Independence. Our values are closely aligned to the social model of disability and resonate with every single individual and stakeholder within the EI team and brand. So it doesn't matter if you're a team member, a practitioner, an admin, or someone who is accessing our services, these are values that each person cares deeply for. Change the game is our ability to accelerate social change. That means that we speak up with respect, we push for more, and we focus on people's abilities and being part of a solution. Inspired with belief means that we support people to believe in themselves, and that enables us to make inclusion a reality. Champion the person means that we use person-centered practices that are central to all elements of our work: report writing, our approaches, the questions we ask, and the way we interact. We are dedicated to championing each person's strengths and empowering them with choice, control, and a voice so they are heard. Simplify and go means that we just want to remove the noise and focus on what's important for people with disabilities and also our team members. And lastly, I know I shouldn't have favourite values, but for me personally, one team with purpose is a very unique way of ensuring that we are working together. We're united around our purpose, our why. We're working holistically by using people's different strengths, abilities, and what they bring to the table. And with that team focus, we make sure that we're accountable for what we say we're going to do. And along the way, enjoying those small moments, celebrating success, and having fun. So the everyday way. So what we do here is, rather than talking about the points directly here on the slide, I'd much rather start by sharing a bit of a story about how our way is implemented with the people we support. So an OT was referred to complete an AT request for a new wheelchair for a participant. However, during the assessment, it was discovered that the real issue wasn't the need for a wheelchair, but the large pothole on the path to the local shops. All it took was contacting the local council to fill the pothole. So the story highlights that removing the barriers in the environment rather than focusing on the person's disability resulted in the pothole being fixed and the participant was able to get to the shops easily. So as a change maker, we focus on what people can do rather than what they can't, highlighting abilities and potential and not focusing on limitations. So the everyday way has proven that over 25 years, it is the most impactful way to create change is through a team and community-based approach. It means that we're measuring outcomes and demonstrating a return on investment, meaning that the money spent is actually making an impact. The social model is where everyone associated with the participant accepts their differences and responsibility for changing their attitudes towards that, changing the physical environments, and ensuring that independence is facilitated. How we do that is through an interdisciplinary team approach, meaning that we work with OTs, speech, physios, habit coaches, positive behaviour support practitioners, and key workers to ensure that we are working holistically. We use the Everyday Lead tool, which is an acronym for Life Enhancing Ability Development System. That Everyday Lead was developed uniquely based on international best standards, and Orima Research was actively engaged in the process to consult for this tool that was 2 years in the making. This tool is based around supporting people to lead your life and become the person you want to be. We also have habit coaches, which are our allied health assistant models, and it's a very cost-effective way to build on routines, habits, and skills, and Everyday Independence is leading the way in this space. And lastly, we work in therapy sprints. So our goal is that therapy support shouldn't just be routine and traditional, but instead we want it to be something that is required in someone's life. So we're stepping in when required, but also stepping away once they've built a skill, meaning we set them up for success, we're involved, and then we take a step back, meaning that they can focus on life. So the Everyday Way aligns with the NDIS goals of enabling participants to buy well and get better value outcomes from their funding in a smarter and more impactful way. We're looking for people to come in and learn these new skills, but we're also looking for people with experience as well to come in, mentor, guide, and be subject matter experts for newer generations of therapists. So why should you work in disability? Well, working in the disability sector is incredibly rewarding, and I think you're going to hear that message multiple times today. You'll have the opportunity to build long-lasting connections with participants through longer sessions, longer-term outcomes, and getting to know people means that you understand what life looks like from their perspective. You build strong rapport, and you see outcomes that aren't just small, but life-changing. So I'm delighted tonight to welcome our panel. Tonight we have Trish Hill, who is our clinical education lead and physiotherapy lead, Meg Walker, who is one of our graduate speech pathologists, Carmen Canlis, who is a graduate occupational therapist, and then later on this evening as well, we will hear from one of our talent acquisition leads as well, named Mel. But first off, Trish, I would love to hand over to yourself. Could you tell us a little bit more about our graduate program?
Thanks, Danny. Yes, I love speaking about the grad program. We have a really unique graduate program, which I'm very proud of. Our program prepares you to work in the NDIS sector by marrying what you already know as a graduate, what you learned at uni, with what you need to know to support people living with disability in the sector. So after you complete our graduate program, you really can work anywhere in the field. We know at uni that you gain really valuable knowledge and skills in your chosen discipline, and it's often through a medical model lens with a focus on impairments. And here at EEI, you'll learn to extend those skills to work in the social model of disability. So you bring a more holistic lens to help people change their lives for the better, which is pretty huge. You'll learn best practice principles as a clinician, but you'll also learn about professionalism in the workplace. So at Everyday Independence, we help you take the next step in your career by experiencing this social, ecological model of practice as a part of that interdisciplinary team that Danny was talking about. You'll also learn how to be sustainable in your practices as a professional to support your own career going forwards. So by combining what you learn at uni with what you learn as part of our graduate program, you'll really change lives as a practitioner. So as well as building on your skills from university, you will have a whole lot of different supports around you when you're part of the graduate program at Everyday Independence, with 7 key points of support. So starting at the top there, your clinical supervisor. This experienced practitioner who's the same discipline as you is your main clinical support person. They facilitate your group supervision sessions twice a month, as well as have regular one-on-one supervision sessions with you to support your caseload management and things like report writing. You have an induction supervisor also who helps you during your induction period, and they're someone who shadows and supports you during your initial induction sessions with participants. So that way you'll help to learn our everyday way through our therapy cycle with support. A team leader is another really important support. They're an experienced operations leader who's at the same hub as you, and they assist you with managing your calendar, your professional habits, and some weekly check-ins just to see how you're going with everything. Your graduate peers, such an important support there too, that we have designed our graduate program so that graduates can also be supporting each other, which I think is a great way to learn. So you learn from your fellow graduates by connecting with them 3 times every month, sometimes in group supervision sessions, and we also have clinical reflection sessions for graduates also. And then at your hub, you have 2 other kinds of support. You've got your teammates from your interdis team, and you can have informal support with them at your hub, as well as that on-the-job learning that you get from being part of an interdisciplinary team together. I'm still learning from my colleagues when I'm an interdis team member with them many years after joining. And at the hubs as well, you have our amazing administrative teams. They'll assist you with tech, systems, calendar management, a whole lot of things. It's always good to be able to reach out to them at your hub also. And finally, you have our subject matter experts. They're across best practice in their fields, and they support learning through communities of practice, as well as regular optional online and hub-based learning opportunities, one of which is our everyday therapy mentoring, we call it, which is like a phone a friend style support that you can tap into when you need it. So that's 7 different ways you're supported as a graduate here at EI. So alongside all of those supports is our graduate curriculum itself, which includes a structured learning program covering both foundational learning for your own discipline, what you need to know in your discipline working in this area, as well as a disability-specific curriculum. Graduates undertake 12 months of targeted learning, which is integrated into the clinical supervision program as well. So you get to embed that learning through your supervision and support. This curriculum reflects all the core knowledge and skills which graduates need to know when working in this field. Learning sessions are tailored to each discipline throughout the year and cover not only technical skills, but other real game-changing skills like coaching, clinical reasoning and reflection, and managing courageous conversations. They're such valuable skills for you for your whole professional life. In addition to this, you can access an external professional development budget to follow your own professional passions. That can go towards workshops, professional memberships, conferences, online learning, a whole lot of other things. So our graduate program has it all, with those 7 key points of support for graduates, as well as a comprehensive learning curriculum, both in your discipline and in working in disability. So it just helps get your career off to a really cracking start. So to summarise the last 3 slides into one statement, it's that with our structured learning curriculum and comprehensive supervision and support network at Everyday Independence, you don't have to worry, we've really got you.
I love that, Trish, and it's such a good reminder. We've got you. And you know what? We've heard a lot about the supervision structures and support here at EI. So if you have questions regarding that now, I highly recommend ask your questions in the Q&A so we can hear and see what you want to know more of. In the meantime, though, I'd love to hear from Meg and Carmen. Thank you again for jumping on tonight. I love that we have the perspective of a speech pathologist and an OT tonight for how you've found your new grad career so far. First of all, how are you both feeling?
Good, feeling excited. Very excited. It's my first one, so keen to hear what everyone's thinking.
Fantastic. So I guess I'll ask you both, first of all, why was it that you chose Everyday Independence?
I can go first. So I chose Everyday Independence because I actually completed my student placement there last year, which allowed me to experience the everyday way firsthand before joining the grad program. And I really enjoyed the supportive and dynamic environment, which played a significant role in my decision to become part of the team.
Oh, fantastic. Thanks, Meg. What about yourself, Carmen?
Yeah, for me, I guess during my grad year, I took a close look at a lot of the allied health grad programs available, as there are so many options for allied health graduates these days. And I found that the EI graduate program strongly aligned with my own personal values and career aspirations. The application process I found was quite straightforward, and that made my experience, made it feel really accessible and inclusive. When it came to the interview, I felt really supported by my area lead. She created such a welcoming and reassuring environment, and that helped me feel quite confident and comfortable throughout that conversation. So that positive experience really reinforced my belief that EI was the right fit.
Perfect. Look, I love hearing that it's a right fit for you both, but we'll ask you some more questions around the supervision structure. So, Meg, I'd love to know what has been your experience of EI supervision?
So I've had excellent supervision experiences at Everyday Independence and really appreciate the balance of both group and one-on-one sessions. The individual supervision allows for tailored guidance specific to my caseload, while group supervision provides a valuable opportunity to hear from other new grads who are speech pathologists as well across the organisation. And it's a great space to ask questions, support one another, and share experiences, all with guidance of a clinical supervisor to help us navigate challenges together.
Perfect. And you mentioned, individual versus group supervision. I'd love to know, how did you initially feel about the idea of group supervision?
I loved it. I loved like the thought of being able to support each other and learn from other people's cases and participants too, and what they brought to the table. So yeah, I was really excited.
Thank you. And Carmen, as you can see on the slide there, there's so many different people and support structures around EI. Who did you find was the most important member of your supervision team?
It's a bit tricky to like narrow it down to just one key member, but to start, I would say my OT clinical supervisor. Having access to their deep clinical knowledge and experience has been invaluable throughout this grad year, whether it was through our regular one-on-one sessions or during those group supervisions. I always felt like I had a safe space to ask those clinical questions, reflect on my practice, and grow professionally. That consistent guidance has helped me build confidence in my clinical decision making and navigate the challenges of transitioning from that student to practitioner. And then I guess I would say, secondly, my team leader at my hub, just knowing that her support is there to build on those professional habits and ensuring that my calendar works for me and my participants has been really helpful in setting myself up for success in the early stages of my career, which has been really reassuring.
And you actually mentioned professional habits there. What did you mean by that?
The professional habits would include understanding like how to maximize my calendar with that current caseload that I have, including reaching those billable targets or even above. Also including how to manage my calendar efficiently, like I said, for myself and my participants. And then obviously like balancing work and personal life commitments, which is quite important to myself. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that's important for so many people listening as well, is creating that balance across your day, your week, your month. So you're sustainable not just now, but in the future as well. Meg, I'd love to know, what are you actually covering in supervision though?
So the focus of each supervision session depends on the format. In the group sessions, we begin by sharing general practice-related questions with our supervisor, followed by more specific discussions on caseloads and participants. In my most recent group session, for example, we reviewed key takeaways from the latest speech pathology community of practice and explored how to integrate those insights into our own practice. But during one-on-one sessions, the focus sort of shifts to participant-specific and caseload-related questions, where I receive support in completing my case notes and reporting and documenting. Meanwhile, the sessions with my team leader at the hub emphasize building strong professional habits, effectively managing my caseload, like Carmen said, and optimizing my calendar and productivity. Yeah.
So I'm going to be mean and ask you two extra questions there. Sorry,
Yeah.
Meg. The first one is, like Carmen, how have you optimized your caseload and your calendar so that it works for you?
I've managed to get a lot of my participants who are in certain suburbs all on one day. So it's quite easy for me to go out to that area and smash out a bunch of sessions rather than traveling a lot during the day. And even one day I finish a bit later. So I've worked my calendar so that I do finish a little bit earlier on a Friday to balance that out. Like we said, the work-life balance works really well.
And so many people do that. I can see Trish nodding here as well. Trish, you're a big fan of finishing a little bit earlier on a Friday. So I think that's a common theme that we see from people, which the schedules are great because you can do a later appointment and have that flexibility. But also the way you mentioned around working geographically, it's smarter, not harder, right? No one likes the lost time in the car there. Um, and now, before I lose my second question for you, you mentioned communities of practice and there was a latest topic that you discussed. What was that though? What was the topic?
So I actually had one today, and that was on articulation and phonology for speech, working in the social model, which was really interesting because at uni, obviously, it's quite medical model, so it was good to see it from a social model lens.
Oh, brilliant. Well, if people have questions about that one specifically, chuck it in the chat because I'll keep on moving along. Carmen, I'd love to hear from you around how you're finding group peer reflections and that group clinical supervision sessions. Are they helpful? Are they useful? What's your takeaways?
In terms of peer reflections, I've only attended a few sessions at the moment, but I found each one to be really helpful. What stands out for me or most is the opportunity to connect with fellow graduates. Often these are people I haven't met before, as like EI is quite wide and spread out, which brings a fresh perspective to the challenges that we're all navigating. I find that hearing how others approach similar situations has helped me reflect on my own practice and to feel less alone in the overall experience. The mentor who facilitates these sessions does an amazing job of striking the right balance between guiding us and giving us space to figure things out ourselves. But that obviously they also know when to step in with insight and when to let the conversation flow naturally. So it's been super helpful to navigate.
And it's really reassuring hearing that you're finding how nice it is to hear from other people that are going through similar experiences and maybe moments of doubt or questioning your skills and abilities to know you're not alone in that. But also what a good way to give you confidence as well when you're hearing people would navigate those situations in a similar way. And even to the point for your mentors in those moments, you mentioned around the guiding approach there. What is quite unique is all of our leaders and mentors often use a coach approach as well, which means we're guiding people to really think deeply about how they would approach a situation, ask questions so that you're really leading the way and learning those skills. But I think with group supervision, people are often really worried. What if someone takes over, speaks too much? What if there's no time for me? So, how do they ensure that time is equally shared?
With the groups of supervisions we use, we typically have an agenda that we either do beforehand or at the start of the session. So it's really completely up to ourselves, and we discuss this amongst ourselves before commencing the session. Typically, if it's one-on-one supervision with another peer, we will split it half and half, doing allocating enough time to each with like a timer. And occasionally, sometimes the supervisor may pop in to check on how everyone is traveling. But yeah, ultimately deciding prior is really helpful to keeping that on track, because sometimes I don't have a clinical question that takes up the whole session. So I like to just sit back and listen and provide any insight where I can. But yeah.
Sounds like it's very flexible depending on what's needed as well.
Definitely.
Have you ever found that you've both come along with the same question or similar questions?
Yes, it happens quite often. Yeah. So it definitely two birds, one stone, I guess.
It makes that agenda setting very easy, doesn't it?
Definitely.
Look, we've spoken in depth about the structure, supports, what it looks like, but ultimately within our roles, we talk about the rewarding element of it. So I'd love to hear from you both. Do you have a story of impact from someone you've supported, a participant at Everyday Independence that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, it was actually hard to pick one to discuss because I have so many. But I have been working with this participant for 6 months. She's 26 years old and she has cerebral palsy. She's in a wheelchair and she's nonverbal. She's not had any way of expressing her wants and needs or making choices in over 3 years. And the previous speechie had just introduced a device, but once services stopped, it wasn't carried through. So I've now reintroduced the device, and we've been targeting making choices for music because she loves music. At first, she was not wanting to engage with the device, so I spent many sessions modeling it as well as capacity building her supports to do so as well. And then she started to reach out and touch the device, and now she's making fully intentional choices. So she'll play a game and she'll throw a toy on the ground, and then she'll tap on the device, the name of the toy, and then I'll pick it up for her. And in the last 2 weeks as well, she's started verbalizing some words as well. She's been saying I for hi and x for thanks. So there's been some great progress, and her family and her supports are really, really happy.
Oh, there's no words for it, but if you just look at everyone's faces here and the little claps coming from Trish and Billy, I think these are just the moments where you see little small steps of progress, but my goodness, what an impact you've been making for her. Congratulations, Meg. That's
Thank
fantastic.
you. Thanks.
Keep us posted. We want to hear more.
Will do.
And Carmen, what about yourself?
One of the most rewarding experience I've had quite recently has been working with a 22-year-old participant on building his independence in the kitchen. Our goal was to help him feel confident cooking for himself, as he doesn't typically do much in the kitchen at the moment. And we approached it by focusing on different cuisines that he enjoys. This time it was sushi. And by tapping into his interests, we were able to build that rapport and make the sessions both fun and meaningful. What was especially exciting was seeing him take ownership. He didn't just make sushi with me once, but when I saw him again, he mentioned that he's been starting to do this more regularly on his own. So knowing that he's been actively working towards his goals and applying those skills independently has been incredibly fulfilling.
Oh, yeah, Trish, I concur. I completely agree. That is just giving such a good name for OT and what's possible within the industry, particularly the way that you've used their interests around cuisine has just fostered a huge sense of accountability, independence, and self-fulfillment in him. So massive congratulations. So as you can see, these stories are huge, and these are just two stories from Carmen and Meg. But our graduates and experienced practitioners achieve this every single day across the organisation. So we've given you some insights. We'd love to give you a little bit more from a graduate perspective. So we're going to show you two more graduate views, which is from Emily and Belle here, of what a bit of a day in the life looks like in our Melbourne hub in Victoria and also our Bayside hub as well.
Hi, I'm Emily, a physiotherapist at Everyday Independence. Come spend a Monday with me. I joined my group mentoring session from the car today, as my first session was at a gym, and I had a couple of cancellations today, so I headed into the office where I found these fun Christmas decorations. As I was in the office today, I was able to catch up and collaborate with the OTs and key workers that form our interdisciplinary teams, and I took a movement break in the sunshine and had my lunch, and then I used the rest of my time to catch up on some admin and start a PD on aquatic physio. Then my final session for the day was at the pool, and then I finished my day playing netball with friends. Hi, I'm Emily, a physiotherapist.
Hi, this is Belle, new grad OT from Everyday Independence, and this is what our hub looked like on a Wednesday. Every Wednesday we have team meeting where we share our wins and update. Then I went into a meeting with a senior OT in our hub and other OTs online about onboarding students in EI this year. I have team meeting with my team leader. I'm seeing my team leader per fortnight for regular support, but I can also message her whenever I need to. Next, a new grad program with my fellow new grad OT, PBS and Speechy. This helped us to build a solid foundation to kickstart our professional journey. And then I had to do some phone calls. Being in the hub makes Teams communication much easier because you can just knock on doors. Here I was talking to admin to reschedule some appointments. At the end of the day, I was shadowed by one of our new starters. And that's the end of my Wednesday in the hub. Thank you for watching.
To give a very warm welcome to Mel. Mel, thank you very much for joining us. You're our talent acquisition consult. We'd love to know more about your role in supporting our graduates on their journey.
Of course. So from your first inquiry to your first day on the job, our dedicated talent acquisition team is here to guide you every step of the way. So we will support you through the application process, prepare you for interviews, ensure all compliance checks are completed smoothly, and celebrate with you as you commence your exciting new career. So we are making an impact nationally. We have been enabling better lives by delivering professional therapy-based support to Australia's NDIS funded children, teenagers, adults and their families for over 25 years. Over the years, we've built a reputation for consistency and trust as a leading employer of allied health professionals. We offer job security and you get paid fortnightly with additional benefits such as annual leave loading and wellbeing days. We have approximately 900 employees with more than 600 practitioners across the country. We have 40 hubs in 6 states and we are expanding our reach in Queensland, Tasmania, Western Australia and New South Wales. So this is a bit of a snapshot of how our remuneration packages are structured. So if we can move through to the next, yeah, perfect. So as a graduate, the total remuneration package is $86,341, and that is inclusive of annual leave loading and superannuation. There are ways to increase your salary, and you can create a package that works for you. So some ways to increase that package include the everyday way bonus. So by meeting the role requirements, you can earn up to $3,000 more per year. We have a Changemaker referral scheme. So if you refer a friend, you can earn up to $2,000 per successful referral. Professional development. So we offer a minimum $1,000 professional development allowance, plus a variety of internal PD courses like mental health first aid. We also have a flexi incentive. So you can earn $80 for each billable hour that you achieve over target. The salary booster, you can increase your regular salary by committing to a higher billable hour requirement after 8 weeks of meeting your current targets. We do annual salary and performance reviews, and there are quite frequently career progression opportunities. So they could look like team leader roles or clinical supervisor roles as well. Cool. And then we have hubs that you work out of. So the hubs we all attend on a Wednesday where we have our team meetings. We do training. They're a really vibrant environment where we like to have snacks and drinks, and they're pet friendly as well. Every hub is a little bit different. And they quite often have like some really fun challenges or games. I know, Danny, you had some great examples of some things that were happening in your area. I believe you're doing push-up challenges in Bendigo.
That's correct. Always doing a push-up challenge.
Lovely. Yeah, so the hub is a great space to be able to work out of. Perfect. And then we offer quite a few perks as well at Everyday Independence. So we have our wellbeing perks. So they include things like online yoga and Pilates. We have an employee assistance program, the vibrant hub life that we touched on. We offer discounts on things like retail, electronics, insurance, fitness, and more. You can also get 2 wellbeing days per year to just recharge and unwind. In terms of flexibility, so we do offer 12 weeks of paid parental leave. Being a national organisation, there are opportunities to actually relocate to other hubs across the country. And you can actually apply for purpose leave if you want to take extended leave off and still return to your job. So whether that's doing study, or you might want to go on an overseas holiday, for example, the options are endless. And you can purchase additional leave, so up to 4 weeks on top of your existing annual leave. In terms of growth, so professional development, so you would get a set PD allowance, and you also have access to a number of internal courses like the mental health first aid that we also mentioned. We offer in-house career coaching and a structured tailored induction program as well, and ongoing learning and development. You do have access to a library full of resources and also mentors that are available online as well that you can tap into. Perfect. And this slide has the link basically if you are interested in finding out a little bit more about our graduate program. This would be the link to go to. We have quite a lot of information available on our website that provides all the details about the graduate program, and also all the roles are currently advertised. If you've got any questions, feel free to email that careers email address and we'll get back to you.
Thank you so much, Mel. Look, so many insightful bits of information. You've heard from Trish about the model, you've heard from Carmen and Meg about their first-hand experiences, and Mel around how to join us, the perks and the benefits of being part of the organisation. Love to open it up for a Q&A. So we've got 15 plus minutes here to really answer the burning questions that you have. I know that they usually come through a little bit slow initially and then they pile up quickly. So start typing them in now and we'll start to address them. In the meantime though, team, it was a Wednesday today. So I'd actually love to know, what did you do today in your team meetings? Did your teams do anything unique to celebrate this week? Trish, Meg, Carmen, what happened in your hubs today?
It was physio day on Monday. So our physios in our hub did a little presentation. It was actually presented by Trish, which was awesome. It was on cycling and the impact that that has on everyone's life. So that was quite insightful as a speechy to see into that side of things, which was awesome.
I love it. And look, we didn't plan for a little name drop there, Trish, but happy World Physio Day and thank you for putting that presentation together. I'm glad that it was so enjoyable.
Thanks, Danny and Meg. And I think we've got a few physios who've joined the webinar, or nearly physios about to graduate. So happy Physio Day to you guys as well.
And what about yourself, Carmen? What did you do today for a Wednesday?
It was pretty chill today, I think. Obviously, we always share some snacks. It was the core team today, so the OTs, physio, speechies, that kind of thing. So just had a few chats, and then obviously it was a great opportunity for us to catch up with all those MDT and see if we need to catch up on referrals or anything like that, as well as just see what everyone's been up to in the week. But yeah, it's normally a good time to see everyone's faces.
It sounds like it was a nice cruisy check-in, but also very task orientated and getting stuff done.
Bit of both sometimes.
I actually found out that the Shepparton team decided to jump on Are You OK Day celebrations, and they actually decorated their hub yellow. They all brought in some snacks and went out for a coffee. So I think that just shows the variety of the different hub cultures though, but they're all so lovely and bring people together.
Always so nice, Danny, and love traveling around seeing other hubs as well. I know that our hub has a really great culture of sharing wins. So we're always celebrating things that, we start a story and everyone goes, oh, I've just got a little win. And then they tell you the win. And it's like, that's not a little win. That's a huge win. So they're really, it's really lovely to celebrate your wins and so important for everybody to do so. So I can see there's something on the Q&A too. Sorry.
Absolutely. So Jonathan's just popped a question through.
Thanks,
so
Jonathan.
Hey there. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. I've previously worked as a habit coach in Melbourne. I'm currently based in New South Wales. I was wondering, what is the process in terms of preferencing certain hubs and sites. So Mel, if there is a certain hub that someone would like to apply for, how do they go about that?
Yeah, so the best thing to do would be to put in an application to the state-based graduate advert. Then one of the talent acquisition team members will give you a call and will ask the question about where you're based and which location you'd prefer to work out of.
Beautiful. Thanks, Mel. We've had another question come through, which is what are the wellbeing supports there at EI? I know the university has spoken a lot about wellbeing supports, particularly as a new graduate and the prevention of burnout. I'm first of all really glad that universities are talking about that, and what a wonderful question. Trish, this is something you and I are very passionate about. What would you say to that?
I was going to say, Danny, close to our hearts, isn't it? We're always talking about working sustainably, and I think that the way that we've designed the supports around graduates and all our practitioners, but particularly graduates getting used to transitioning to professional life, enables you lots of opportunities to get that support if something's just not quite feeling right. Your regular check-ins with your team leader, they're going to be asking you those questions. How are you going? Do you feel like you're being sustainable? What can we do to help support you to be sustainable in your role? It's not about working as hard as you can and then that it needs to be a sustainable situation. So your team leader catch-ups are really important. Our EAP program, so employee assistant program, is so great. So it's something I've tapped into in the past and found really fantastic. It's completely confidential. Nobody needs to know that you're accessing support. If you wouldn't like to disclose it, it's up to you, but that enables you to have, I think it's 5 sessions, and then you can continue and get that extended as well, should you need to or want to. So they're just a couple of the supports, but I think the supervision that you get to help structure your caseload and feel like, yeah, I actually feel confident that I know what I'm doing with these people. That really helps to feel better in yourself as well. And there's so many things, Danny, but that's just a few of them that are key, I think.
And I think what's really important about the EAP service is I think people tend to have a perception that we can only go to talk about work challenges that we might be experiencing. So maybe a session that didn't go to plan or feeling overwhelmed with our role. However, the EAP services is actually for all aspects of support. So you could go to them for professional work challenges, personal issues. They provide financial support, support around domestic violence, for internal referrals within your local communities, financial hardships. It continues to go on. And the reason I say that is because we know that our work life can impact our home life, and our home life can impact our work. So being able to go for anything and everything is completely okay. I also would like to just say on the wellbeing supports, whilst Trish has spoken to that really heavily, I think we actually take it back and go, well, what's sustainable as a new graduate, and how do we want you to start your journey and your career? So the conversations happen from the get-go and they're ongoing. So even when you finish as a grad, Trish and I still get asked, how are you going? What's working? What's not working? How can we stick to our boundaries? So it's nice knowing that as even a senior or a more experienced clinician, you get the ongoing wellbeing support that way.
That's right, Danny. And look, the other thing that I think is probably also worth mentioning, you talk about, getting off to a good start. And I think even things like the way that we help structure your calendar. So we set out template calendars so that things really make sense and you don't have massive gaps and then, squishing things elsewhere. So even those calendar management tips can just make such a big difference to working sustainably. So it all adds up, right?
And it's quite funny because Carmen and Meg, you both spoke to those professional habits, right? Often we come out of uni and go, oh my gosh, I need to learn all these OT skills. But if we focus on some of these core concrete professional boundaries, habits, calendar mastery, challenging conversations, you become a very well-equipped practitioner for a life journey. We do have another question in. We could talk about that question forever, which is, Thank you for the information so far. I'm wondering from an OT perspective with caseloads, is there room to specialise in paediatrics or other areas as a new graduate? Who would like to answer this one? Carmen, do you want to jump in? Is there room to
Yeah, for sure.
specialise?
Well, I guess like for me, I love pediatrics as well, and predominantly my caseload is pediatrics, so you can definitely put out a preference to say like which participant ages you like. So I see a lot of littlies to teenagers, but then I also see a bit of adults as well. In terms of like also specializing, I think for me in future, I also want to have a look at AT, like assistive technology. So there's definitely opportunities to further develop that as well, because we do have some amazing OTs that are specialized in AT. And that's just another key area that I want to work in. Similar with like functional capacity assessments as well, something to specialize and have a look at as well. But there's definitely a lot of options available. But off the top of my head, yeah, those are the ones that I would definitely consider.
Absolutely. And look, as an OT myself, I went through a similar journey. I was supported 0 to 18 initially, then got really into the key worker space from probably 2 to 8 years of age, specialized in toileting, which is my favorite area. I did try AT, Carmen. It wasn't for me, but that's okay because sometimes it isn't. But the beauty is that you can explore those different areas and find the right fit for you. So even if you're like me and you want to give AT a go and quickly realize 3 months in how much you really hate it, then that's okay. You just have a conversation and see what the next step and option is. And Meg, it's probably quite similar in the speech space as well, isn't it? It's not just OTs, but speeches specialised.
Yeah, exactly. I am actually working with both peds, adolescents, and adults just because I wanted to keep it broad. I enjoy working with all groups, so that's how I've got it at the moment. But even my mentor, she's just pediatrics, and my supervisor from placement last year, she was just adults. So you can really pick and choose to where you sort of want to sit. And similar with Carmen for specific areas, I've got a bit of a grow plan, what we call it, of a plan of what PDs I do want to do. So I've got AAC is a one I'm really keen on, and pediatric feeding as well. I want to look more into. So you can definitely pick specific areas.
Love that you mentioned that, Meg. Like we have, so the grow plan, that's like an individualized learning plan that every team member at Everyday Independence has a grow plan, and that talks about what do you want to achieve in this year. You know, what are your longer term goals? What do you want to work towards? That helps to fuel maybe what your actions might be to help you get there. So thanks, Meg. We didn't even mention grow plans.
No worries.
And I can't see any further questions at the moment, so I'm just going to fill the space and ask another one. Meg, Carmen, how do you feel about KPIs? We hear about it all the time. What's the KPI? How do you feel about them?
I think for me, I obviously we learn a little bit about it in uni, especially in that community space. So I was very nervous about it because like even in my other jobs, I didn't have to do a lot of that KPI kind of thinking and wasn't too worried about it. But I think with that grad program and the support from my team leader, I was really able to kind of get my head around it a lot better. And then with the new plan, it's like it grows in stages. So starting at, I believe it's 0 billables in the first week, going up to possibly, I think it's 16 in the second week, and then increasing after that. But yeah, I think it's tricky at first, especially. I definitely leaned a lot on my team leaders, but it's very manageable. And I think as I've gotten my head around it, it's not as nerve-wracking as I thought it would be. But yeah.
Thank you so much for your honesty. I think that's how most people may approach and feel about it. It's almost like the big elephant in the room, and sometimes it can be a bit fear-provoking. And once you embed it into your calendar, it just kind of feels, I don't want to say easy, but I feel like that's the word that I'm gravitating towards. Meg, what's your thoughts on it?
I definitely agree with you there. Face value, it seems quite daunting, but I think that gradual grow as the weeks go by, it sort of just naturally worked with the way that the graduate program works as well. The way that you start with a few participants and then you gradually build up. I haven't felt that it's overwhelming or I'm needing to like push to hit that target. So I'd say it's a really good balance. Yeah.
And it just shows the power of those things that Trish and yourself spoke about earlier. When you have a good calendar, get the right balance of people that you're seeing, you're working geographically, smarter, not harder, it tends to fall into place. So thank you both for answering that one. We've had a question from Zara, which is I'm curious to hear what does everyday independence look for in new graduates? So I'm actually going to ask each of you this question. Trish, what do you look for?
You know what? The first thing I look for is a growth mindset, Danny. So someone who's curious and passionate about supporting people to make change in their lives. I think if you come with those two things, a curiosity and a want to make a difference, then we can absolutely work with that. That's fantastic.
Beautiful. Mel, what about yourself?
I think someone that's passionate and that really wants to work it within the social model is definitely important.
Carmen, as a grad yourself, what do you think aligns well?
I think similar to both Mel and Trish, having that open mindset, not even coming into it with all these skills, but just being open to learning new things and trying different things and just understanding that it can be quite challenging, but you have the supports available. So yeah, just being quite open to everything as well.
Wonderful. And Meg?
Super similar. I think being honest and open and willing to learn, I think is the key points.
Got some really good key themes here. I'm going to tap in and say what I look for people is an ability to see a solution. I think in this role, it can be really challenging working with complex people in complex situations. Sometimes you just have to take a step back, be okay with not knowing the answer straight away, but try to sift through it to see what could work, even if it's quite small, because those 1%ers are the things that actually create lifelong change. So being a solution orientated person, I think tends to align very well to this role. I can't see any other final questions in the chat, so I am going to just ask one final question to each of our panelists tonight, which is what would you want the key message to be for the audience members tonight? From all the information we've spoken through, what is the one takeaway you want them to have? Meg, you've taken yourself off mute. What's the key message?
I can kick it off. I think it's really important to know the amount of support that you do have in your new grad year. I've just had the most amazing support, and there's so many different ways that you can get that. So I think that's a key point that I would give to you guys.
Thanks, Meg. Mel, you were quickly behind Meg to jump in. Go for it.
I think for me, it's probably don't be afraid to ask questions. If you're thinking about the graduate program now, don't hesitate to reach out to the TA team. Happy to answer any questions that you have.
Beautiful. And the best part of that as well, Mel, is I know that if you can't answer it or if there's a really specific question to a certain hub or area or about a role, we make sure that those questions are answered for you as well.
Absolutely.
Carmen, what about yourself? Key message.
I was also going to say supervision just because there's so much support and I felt super supported and felt really comfortable within my role, but also if community is not something that you've done before, just give it a go. I didn't do community in any of my placements, so really just want to put forward that EI has a really great background and is very supportive to start your role as an OT in community or any allied health role. But yeah.
Beautiful. Give it a go. Love it. Trish.
I guess I guess mine's sort of along the same lines that you guys have said. The learning and development is really structured. There's loads of support available in the learning and development space, and I think it's sometimes people shy away from joining a big organization, but I think if you join a big organization, Everyday Independence being one of those, then we have that structured support in place. We invest heavily in that learning and support for our graduates to make sure you have a great start to your career and you can go on to do great things. Like, you know, Danny's joined us as a grad and look at her here just owning it. So those opportunities are available to you here at Everyday Independence.
So in summary, team, here's the message. We invest in you. We want you to ask questions. We want you to make the right career move for you. We want you to know that you will be supported at every moment of your journey from day one to year, whatever it might be in the future, and to ultimately give it a go. So I hope that from tonight you feel as passionate about joining the organisation as the panelists here tonight representing it. I want to say a very big thank you to our wonderful panelists tonight. Mel, thank you as always for giving such insightful information and reassurance for our graduates as to what the next steps look like. Trish, happy World Physio Day. Thank you for being such a stellar, standout physio in the industry and representing us. And Carmen and Meg, thank you as always for sharing your graduate experiences and stories. Every single time you just see the room light up when you both speak and talk about firsthand what you've gone through and how you've made an impact for each of your participants. So thank you very much. But I also want to say a big thank you to Billy as well. Billy has been working behind the scenes, pulling this event together. So Billy, thank you for being our engagement extraordinaire and making tonight a possibility. So the final message, give it a go, join us, you'll be supported, and we know that you will love what is a rewarding industry and career along the way. Thank you again. Have a lovely evening, and hopefully we see you very soon in 2026.
See ya.
Bye, everyone.